All right, we had to follow through this time. Last week, I teased an emergency pod after Kareem Hunt finally signed with a team, that being the Browns, and potentially rocked the fantasy landscape. But that may have been much ado about nothing, considering what happened on Sunday. Again, it's just week one, but nonetheless. But I couldn't go 2 weeks in a row joking about an emergency pod and not follow through. So here we are. We wrapped last night, then 10 trades happened between end of recording last night and like 9 o'clock this morning. So, because you're all a bunch of degenerates, myself included, um, I had to follow through and jump on emergency pod. So I am greatly appreciating the Giants and the Colts jumping on with me, so that I'm not just yammering at my computer on a random Wednesday. But gentlemen, um, I got to say this is some good work by the league in a short period of time.
Yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of all the action.
Yeah, 11 trades in less than 23 hours. Nice work, folks. None to me though. What the f?
Well, you got too many expensive players.
There's,
Buddy.
I don't know, things could be said there, but I think we'll take the high road here. But as mentioned, 11 trades. So we'll just go through those, and not expecting this to go an hour or anything like that. But nonetheless, just a little bit of extra content for you guys in your week. So, starting with number 11 here, we've got uh, Eagles and I swapping Emmanuel Ogba for Justin Simmons and a fourth. He wanted to move off of Ogba and the contract. I wanted to add an ABN. Simmons being hurt just seemed like a decent swap for me.
Yeah, safety for defensive end. Usually a pretty good positional swap. And obviously Simmons being hurt is good for RJ's tanking efforts.
Yeah, that's true. I guess the Herbert Noosu happened on the pod, didn't it? Okay, let's see. So $14 million safety for what's Ogba going for? 18 million. Okay. Yeah, I don't hate it.
Yep. I
You got a
mean,
DN.
end of the day,
Always
it
good.
works out. Compared to what's coming, it's kind of minuscule because I needed a little bit of extra DN depth because next deal I'm swapping Miles Garrett for Mike Evans.
Yeah, that. I mean, I personally like that trade a lot. I get it. DNs are very valuable, but even at 30, $16 million, Evans is still producing like a wide receiver one, and Miles Garrett, as good as he is just going to be another edge rusher, and there's going to be 1,000 of them.
So, I mean, when I think about Miles Garrett, I think back to like fantasy baseball and like the 5x5s where it was like you had a couple of guys back when I was playing who could go like 20 home runs, 20 stolen bases, 80 RBIs, and hit over 350. I mean, it was just like you get these guys in your lineup and you're already halfway there on half the stats. That's what Miles Garrett is he is consistently among the top DNs. He's done it every year. He hasn't really gotten hurt. And oh, by the way, he's only 27.
Yes, which is crazy because it feels like Garrett's been around for forever, and he's
Yeah.
like, wait, how I was going to say, is he even close to turning 28? So he turns 28 this winter. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's still kind of ridiculous for how good he is and how young. I guess he's not young anymore, but how in his prime he is. That's a
Yeah.
pretty good deal.
So again, I get it for that standpoint because it's if you need to put somebody in that spot. It's been in a scarcity in this year and in the past. Like, and now, bam, you've got one of your spots taken care of. Just automatic set it and forget it.
Yeah.
So it's a great asset to have. And I needed one of those on the offensive end. I had Amon-Ra St. Brown, but then my guys weren't really stepping up behind him. So Evans gives me a second receiver. So, you know, hopefully start the two every week. And then if one of my guys pops, they pop. But just kind of rounds out my team a little bit more.
I agree. There's a part of this that I don't really understand actually, and that's why is the Commanders giving up a weapon that's a strength, right? He's got good receivers for a position that's still a strength. DeMarcus Lawrence, Harrison Phillips, Tuli Tuipulotu, like even Leonard Williams is playing pretty well. Why wouldn't he use that to go out and get a running back? You know?
I think he was a little bit worried about some of those guys maybe being out over their skis. Like Tuli, just you could not dream a better start for him right now.
Yeah.
But is that something you can rely on going forward, or is that okay? He had a couple really good weeks in a row to start, and now he's going to settle back into being a 3-4 end.
Yeah. I wish I could say I don't think he continues to do this, but I've been watching the Chargers, and I'm going to say Tuli is the only person on that D line that I can reliably say is a good edge rusher. I mean, Bosa looks kind of rough. Mack looks old. Morgan Fox is still good, but he's definitely an interior player. Tuli looks like an absolute monster out there. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I hope that's the case, but I understand wanting to solidify, like I said, part of the position, and now he gets to roll the dice. Just having one of those guys pop, and if two or more of them pop, then they're likely going to be his flex, and it's all gravy.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. I also think from his standpoint, like he probably isn't going to do enough this season to really compete for the division. So he's getting like the younger asset that'll be the more like long-term piece.
That's fair.
And I mean, Garrett's an elite defensive end, right? Like I know we're going to have some additional bodies in that position room, but like not bodies that are going to get 40 in a week like Garrett can multiple times in the season. So I think it's pretty fair value. I think if I were to like break this down the draft picks, like I would expect Garrett would earn more draft picks back than Evans would, or like higher draft value.
I agree.
But in terms of, offense for defense, we say this a lot, but it is a kind of a general rule of thumb. Like offensive points are harder to get than defensive.
Yeah.
This is true. All right. Nobody wants to talk about my trade, so I'll put a bit more here.
I mean, I'm all right talking about it. They're solid.
Anyways, next up, it's Kenny Pickett and Gerald Everett heading to the Buccaneers for Justin Fields and Lawrence Guy. After spending the podcast talking about Justin Fields, he's terrible. Who would want to trade for that guy? Look, Josh Allen,
you're trolling.
A complete flash in the pan, but if Fields turns it around, like I just bought a quarterback you need to win the title for Kenny Pickett. Like there's every possibility this ends up being a home run. There's every possibility this ends up looking terrible when Ty Banjan is starting for the Bears in Week 12. Like, you know what? I'm taking swings.
Yeah. I can understand that because I'm definitely taking swings, and a lot of people look at the players I went and bought and be like, why did you send producing players for these guys? It's like, so I get it. But yeah, me personally, I don't like Fields. I think he's a total bust, but who knows? He might be the next great running back.
I mean, Pickett hasn't really been impressive either. For me, and we were talking about this post pod when this trade happened. Bucks just like significantly lowered his ceiling, but I guess raised his floor a bit from Fields to Pickett. Although the Fields rushing floor, you could argue, is even with Pickett. So like, I think from an upside standpoint, I really don't mind this from acquiring the Fields side. And just seeing where the rest of the season goes.
Yeah, the upside's definitely there. Fields is definitely one of those types of players that at any given time could go out and drop 40.
That's what I'm hoping for. All right, we continue. Eagles giving Justin Hollins away for free to Commanders, and then swapping rookies. I grabbed Trey Palmer for Parker Washington to Force. Parker, I really like, but he's kind of buried in Jacksonville at the moment. Needs some time to climb out of the receiver room. whereas Trey is getting increased snaps. So kind of a win-win for both of what we're doing, and he picked up some picks.
Yep. Always good to pick up picks.
Then I need to turn to the other side of the ball. Linebacker has been a problem for my team right now. I've had some luck. Needed to add more consistent linebacker. Kenneth Murray was one of the linebackers available. I know he's kind of filling in right now for newly signed vet Kendricks, but my guess is he's still got a pretty good role even when Kendricks comes back, and he may have earned himself the main role that they wanted him to be in the first place.
I mean, I think Murray is definitely a 1-year rental. Like in terms of fantasy, he could go elsewhere and still produce. Chargers kind of have, over recent years, seem to have a habit of just letting their linebackers that produce walk. Like Kaiser White, Drew Tranquill, especially with Murray being a first-round pick, he's going to cost money. So I don't hate it. I just think that it's a lot to give up for a guy that hasn't shown like a consistent ability to be a difference on the field. Like he feels like a very replaceable piece for an NFL team. And Ojulari at the least has that like 7-sack season as a rookie that you never know he could reproduce.
His problem
But,
is health.
yeah.
He's been hurt like every year.
Yeah, he's always been hurt.
Yeah, that was my thought. Is I liked him, but he's always hurt, and then a third doesn't get Murray done, but a second probably is too much. So again, I was fine
Stuck
with it.
in the middle.
Yeah, that's kind of where it needed to be.
And
But
to be
then-
fair, Murray has been really good these last 2 weeks. 22, 21 points. That's good.
I will take full credit for helping Titan's heart grow 3 sizes to take the next deal here. Again, a big one. We talked about last night a situation where Titans might end up with 2 top 5 picks, but in this case, gives Bears his pick back. Bears 24 pick for the Saints second next year, the Chargers second next year, the Chiefs first in 25, and the Colts second in 25. I mean, 3 extra seconds. Look, at the end of the day, this was Titans being nice about this.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's not 3 extra seconds. That is essentially 4 second-round picks.
Nonetheless, it's, Titans being accommodating to Bears and good on him for it.
Yeah. I mean, you are rounding out your roster a lot. 4 players for 1 very good player. If you manage to hit on all 4 of those, you definitely win the trade. But if that Bears pick ends up being a Marvin Harrison or Caleb Williams or even something a little bit lesser, like, Drake May or something, that hurts. I mean, that definitely hurts to see happen.
Yeah, I feel like I agree with the sentiment that he definitely sold low on that Bears pick. I mean, that being said, like there's a lot of teams trying to tank. Like if that is pick 6 and the quarterbacks and Harrison are gone,
Suddenly, who's left?
Suddenly, you just added 3 seconds and a later first for maybe not the cream of the crop in the draft, and as a team that has probably the least amount of talent on it.
Yeah,
right
I can
now.
agree with that.
Just sheer volume of picks might be just worth it to the position he's in versus like adding one piece.
Yeah, I agree.
So again, either way, it's fun. And again, more fun. So Titans is all about the fun for these 3 trades. Trey swaps Traquan Smith, who just got, I think, released. And then my second and Saints second in 24 picks up Aaron Rodgers. So look at this. He's got a quarterback.
Yep. It definitely relieves, if he has faith that Rodgers manages to make it back and be a quality starter, it relieves the need to have to get a quarterback with a high pick, which he's going to have. I mean, he owns his own first-round pick.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if he ends up with like the 1 or 2, and you've already got Rodgers, I mean, Caleb Williams is very tempting, but, I mean, getting Marvin Harrison when you already have a starting quarterback is pretty huge.
Oh, he
Monk.
better still take a young quarterback because I think Rodgers plays next year, but I don't think he plays beyond that.
I agree, but it's one of those like you can have Rodgers and kind of you could go Caleb Williams and then maybe hope you get a high enough pick to get like a Travis Hunter next year, or you get Harrison and then you just get who's there at quarterback with your pick next year. It's definitely a toss up because Harrison's one of those guaranteed products, right? A Justin Jefferson, a Jamar Chase. Quarterbacks is never really a sure thing. Even Lawrence hasn't lived up to that hype that we all thought he'd be.
Yeah, but I think both May and Caleb are being talked about as being graded above Lawrence, even. Best prospects since Luck, right?
Yeah, I've heard that before.
He's already at the current Mahomes level right now. Hasn't
That's
played
right.
it down in the league, and he's already as good as Patrick Mahomes.
That's so crazy.
So
The
he's
league
falling-
hype is insane.
This is, but again, we're never wrong. So, moving right along, we'll get to the Colts here. Swapping Tank Dell and Jerome Baker for Jonathan Mingo, Shelby Harris, BJ Ojolari, and DeMarvion Overshown. So, take us through it.
Okay, so the first and biggest part of the trade that makes sense from my end of the deal, I am really nervous about Tank Dell. He feels like one of those players that is playing very well and then ends up like Ojolari, Azeez Ojolari, great rookie season, and then just can't stay healthy because Smith was small coming in, but Tank is a whole nother level of small. And in the NFL, that is a recipe for disaster. At the end of the day, he could be a beast. I really like Jonathan Mingo. I really like BJ Ojolari. And then DeMarvion Overshown feels like a really promising piece inside the Dallas defense. And obviously he won't be on the field this year, but it doesn't feel like there's a whole lot there outside of Micah Parsons. Maybe you can consider Leighton Vander Esch a mainstay of that defense. I just like Overshown. So that's my thought process.
Yep. Just again, tough to give up on Dell with what we've seen so far.
Definitely.
And everyone losing their mind on him right now. But if you're right, it's a great sell high.
Yeah. And I did try to sell Tank higher. Like I had talked about, who did I talk about? I talked
Talk
about
to me.
Brandon Ayuk, I believe, and it was like, oh, I need Tank Dell plus for Ayuk. And I'm like, you want plus for a guy who's had one big game and is in a contract year. But yeah, not very many people were interested in buying him right now or in general. So I just kind of went with guys I really liked and went after the Jets until he finally gave me a deal.
Good enough. All right. Bears, after he gets his pick back, starts selling off what pieces he has. Defense moves Juwan Bentley, Jalen Johnson, Richie Grant, and some fourths for Lawrence Gay, Ronnie McLeod, a Ravens 25 second, and a Saints 25 third to me. So, again, I start to stay on the defensive side, keep adding pieces to hopefully round me out there. Feeling pretty good about where things are sitting coming into the week.
Yeah, I like the pieces you added. I feel like, maybe because like at least the Pats fourth is really early. It's not terrible, but like draft capital seemed a little high on your end. Like I'm not sure like any one of those players is worth a 2.
Yeah, none of them by themselves, but I think it's close enough that it gets there.
Yeah. And,
See,
I
I
like Bears getting some more premium picks, or at least more premium picks, because I think he's pretty light. So he's got a first and a fourth this year, but now he adds an extra second, so he's got 3 seconds in 25, two thirds, 2 fourths. So like he's building up some draft capital. It kind of seems like he's going to take his quarterback in the draft this year, hopefully. And then have another tanking season and kind of have 25 years building year just based off of current assets on the roster.
Yeah, his build is going to take some time here and some patience. So moves like this definitely help. But he's going to have to continue to work the wire and work the trade bait and stuff like that to recollect some capital. Saints in back-to-back deals here with the Chiefs picking up Tank Bigsby for Nick Bonito and the 49ers second next year. I got to be honest, that looked a lot better a couple weeks ago, but now it's still a second for that. And Tank been on the field. I think he was taken around a second, so it's a nice cash out for.
He was an early second, yeah. This is like classic Chiefs, where he takes a second and flips it into 2 seconds worth of value.
Yeah, I agree. I do not like the Saints end of this. I mean, Tank Bigsby's a great talent, but Benito, I mean, can you really peg any one player on the Broncos line as like the future for their edge rushers outside of Benito? Because I can't really. I like Benito, and then a second that's honestly going to be relatively high given the Niners' current record. I don't know. Bigsby feels like a lot, or it feels like a lot to give up for Bigsby with ETN already there.
We shall see. Again, Saints is adding pieces. I love it. I love it that he's making the team his own. But then moving off Duvernay for a fifth, it's a good dump. I mean, Duvernay now versus what he was last year, it's unfortunate, but Raiders gets a piece for cheap. Saints dumps $9 million on a player who's not really all that helpful to him right now.
Yep. And honestly, frees up some desperately needed cap. I don't know if he has any moves he needs to make, but with $60 million in dead cap for all the players he cuts, he is riding the line of maxed out on cap.
It'll be interesting to see what he and some of these other guys use with their huge amount of cap space before cap penalties hit. And then, of course, the most important trade of them all, we've got a Dolphins and Pats punter swap. Dolphins for Broncos punter.
I'm assuming this
Monster.
bye week lines up with another Tankers game.
Oh, that is so stupid. Are you
Well,
serious? Is that why he made that
before-
deal?
Very possibly.
Oh my god.
Let's see. Who did he just?
This is what they did. What this is the level of tanking we have going on here, guys.
Week 10?
Week 10, he's
Jesus.
playing the Cowboys, so not.
Wait, that's not a
that level.
tanker.
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say, I'm like, did he really make a deal to get his freaking punter on a bye week for a matchup?
I mean, you'll see it start happening. It hasn't happened yet, but it's going to start happening
So
soon.
crazy. I mean, good for him, I guess. This is just wild.
All right. 23 minutes of goodness. Appreciate you guys jumping on. Well, see, the problem now is you guys have to make a shit ton of more trades, so we have something to talk about next week. So keep up the good work. Again, it was a lot of fun waking up and seeing all the action in the league. It's always a lot of fun for me as somebody who obviously enjoys making some deals. So keep it happening. And thanks, guys, for joining, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
See you later.